All right. And we're rolling.
Welcome to episode number 10.
Is this already episode 10?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Unbelievable, right? Time flies, man.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, you got to think we started this thing fairly quickly after the season ended.
Yep.
And it
season ended pretty early.
Yeah, a little too early. And it is now July 9th. So, yeah, episode 10.
Makes sense. And we're a week out from camp, if my math is correct.
Yes, we are exactly a week out. Yep. Next Tuesday is the Alabama camp that we're pretty stoked for here, and
Yep.
we got 18 goalies, age ranging from 7 to actually it's not the age range isn't as bad this year, or not as wide, I should say. I think the oldest one is 19.
Really? Okay.
Whereas last year we had a 7-year-old and a 33-year-old.
Yeah.
Multiple 30-plus-year-olds.
Plus, yeah.
And it was a blast.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Everybody had fun.
For our Florida camp, the age range is 5, as of right now, to 62.
Sweet. Let's go.
Isn't that sick?
That's awesome.
I think it's great.
I love that.
But anyways.
That'll be great. Okay, so that's next week. But do you know what this week is? Arguably more important. Arguably more importantly, do you know what this week is?
No.
It's a huge event. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but do you know what this week is?
Can you give me a hint? Like, are we talking modern or what are we talking?
We're just talking in life. This week is a huge event. Nationally televised as well.
Pocono?
That's true. Tricky triangles this weekend, but this is more important than that.
Your birthday?
You're drawing a blank.
No, your birthday's on Monday.
I don't even know when my birthday is.
No, your birthday. Yeah, your birthday's on Monday.
According to the internet, my birthday's in September.
Right, but your birthday's on Monday.
I don't know when my birthday is.
Our camp is on
Either
Tuesday
way,
on the 16th. When is your birthday?
After that.
I thought your birthday was July 15th.
No.
When's your birthday?
I'm not going to give... I don't feel comfortable giving out that information right now.
Are you kidding? Your birthday?
That has nothing
Stu, no one cares about
to do.
the date of your birthday.
Yeah, clearly, because
Are you a guy that
on the
doesn't like
internet it's
birthdays?
wrong. I don't mind birthdays.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways.
All right.
It's on the internet if you want to see my birthday, but just subtract 2 months.
Okay. It still doesn't
It
help
usually
me.
says September. Okay, this week is Shark Week.
Oh, that is huge.
And as an outdoorsman, I'm disappointed that you didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week when we were talking about sharks for 20 minutes, I used to be obsessed with Shark Week.
Yeah.
And I've kind of gotten away with it, or away from it.
It's on like Nat Geo and Discovery.
Sick. Well, we'll be tuning in.
They should. You know what I learned last night on Shark Week was that great white sharks, depending on different hormones, changes how gray they are. So I guess they have cells in their skin called melanocytes, which we have too. That's how we get tan, but it changes pigment color. And when they're exposed, they took skin cells and exposed them to different hormones, and the shark's melanocytes would expand or contract, meaning that it's either darker gray or lighter gray. So it's not conclusive evidence, but this leads the scientists to believe that great white sharks have adaptive camouflage. They can change their camouflage depending on what's going on.
Like on their environment or
Yeah, whether they're
whatever.
hunting or sleeping or whatever. Which,
Wow.
if you're telling me that great white sharks have adaptive camouflage, F all the way off. Like it was already a cheat code, and now it's like double cheat code.
Yeah, but weren't you telling me that they're like the most like they've survived the most shit out of any creature?
Yeah,
them
them
and like the cockroach or something?
crocodiles.
Crocodiles,
the
that
other
was
one.
it.
Yeah.
I think cockroaches are high up there too. I think they've been around forever.
I don't know the history of cockroaches.
You
gonna have
would be interested in that.
Living in Alabama, I should, based on how often I see them.
Right, like this morning.
Right, like earlier this morning.
Yeah.
So that's this week's
Wow.
Shark Week update.
That's unbelievable. I can't wait to watch Shark Week. And Garner's
Yeah.
obsessed with sharks. Like yesterday he was in the office here and I had a meeting.
Yeah.
And to distract him from disturbing our meeting, he was like, "Can you put some sharks on YouTube?"
Yeah.
And he just watched that for like 45
But
minutes.
now you can just put sharks on TV.
Yeah.
24/7, they're on TV.
It's going to be great. And any parent knows that if you can entertain your kid with a TV just for 30 minutes of turning your brain off,
Yeah.
you're happy. So That's awesome. I'm excited to put Shark Week on for my kid.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious to hear what you guys learn. You have to update me.
I'm not going to learn a thing,
But
like I said last week.
That's our weekly outdoors tidbit.
Okay, yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
You're an outdoorsman.
I am. Mind you, I'm not a big like ocean guy. Like obviously I went bow fishing in the ocean, but that's as far as my ocean experience has went.
That's interesting.
Most of my outdoor experience is on a northern lake or hunting whitetail, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I would, aside from spearfishing, which apparently you'd be more entailed to do something like that because you don't mind diving in water.
Spearfishing?
Yeah.
Like with a spear gun?
I think, yes. I don't know if that's the right term for it. Spearfishing might be above the water. There might be another term for in the water.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, like a harpoon gun.
Right.
Yeah.
But just for context, we discussed how you want to get me in the water because you think diving is cool.
I think you should scuba dive, yeah.
Right.
As an outdoorsman.
I'm still...
Right now, you're taking away 75% of your outdoor experience.
Yeah.
Do you realize? Because water is like 75% of the face of the earth.
Yep. And even that meat eater guy, his name's Steven Rinella, is like probably the most popular outdoor TV personality right now over the last like 5 years. He even in his like latest episodes on Netflix says that he could just basically, I'll paraphrase, but he could basically not hunt another mammal and just spend his time diving in the water, fishing the ocean.
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's that sick. So for him to say that, like, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because that man has hunted more animals and
he's been all around the globe
for his job, like for his entire life, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's something to it.
And so now you're saying he's like, I just want to spend all my time in the ocean.
Yep. Specifically, we'll call it spearfishing, where he dives underneath in like Hawaii and stabs all these like different critters. It's pretty
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know where we could start is I know a hockey coach who's also a scuba instructor outside of Atlanta. He's from Toronto, grew up there, but he also loves scuba diving. He's like dove in the Atlanta Aquarium, which is a massive, massive, massive tank. I think they have like a whale shark, which are massive. Right. So anyways, for context, maybe we could start with his like course, which is in like a controlled lake environment.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're doing it in a lake, I'm all for it, as long as there's no gators. So it's like not.
No, it's literally like a man-made lake.
Right, but gators could still go into a man-made lake depending on the location of the lake.
Okay, but I think it's like made for scuba instructing.
So no gators are getting in.
I don't think so. Right, that's what I'm saying.
Is it fenced off?
I believe so.
Okay.
We'll find out when we get there.
Okay. But when it comes to the ocean, I'm telling you right now, you could tell me, Lotzi, we're going on a trip to the Gulf. We're going to go spearfishing. I'm paying for the entire thing. I would say no. Because I'm just scared of the ocean.
Not getting in the water.
Not getting in the water.
Yeah. I'm scared of going up into and height-wise. Yeah. You're scared of going down.
Yes. I'm also scared of going up, but just only when someone else is in control of an aircraft.
Hey, you know what? But not on a ladder.
Not on a ladder and not when I'm on my own feet on a roof.
Good for you.
Yep. Trust my feet.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's our weekly outdoor tidbit.
Yep. Moving on. Moving right along.
We still got this is our third episode talking about the Stanley Cup Finals and Stanley Cup playoffs after they've finished. But even though this is about the playoffs, I feel like this episode is more about what you can learn from a team perspective and as a goalie from those playoffs. So that's how, although we're discussing the finals, I feel like it's more as goalies, what can we take away? And as players, what can we take away from the finals and what we saw?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our first note here is regarding Bob bouncing back in Game 7.
Yeah.
Obviously, by bouncing back, we're talking about Game 4, 5, and 6, where the Panthers lost.
Yeah.
Now, this is really testing my brain, trying to remember those 3 games that they lost in the finals and how Bob was playing. If I remember correctly, generally, those 3 games, he was not necessarily on his game, and he was chasing the puck a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I wouldn't call it his fault that they lost. but he just didn't seem like himself. He didn't seem like himself when he's dialed in.
Right.
And so it's like, why is that? And then how do you reset when you've just lost 3 in a row? And now it seems like, the other team, Edmonton, has all the momentum at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently, according to, again, my Instagram algorithm, one of the ways you cope with something like that is to not show up for practice and go for a walk on the beach.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I think we got to talk about that, but I think we got to start from the beginning and go from there.
Okay.
So what did we see in games 4 through 6 from Bob? I feel like he was a little bit, when I say over animated, I mean he was like kind of chasing the puck around, like you said, chasing around the net, like out of the net, all over the place. Usually when Bob is dialed in, he's just kind of within the 6 feet of the net, kind of going back to the post. He's really fast, but he's staying controlled within the net.
Yeah,
really sharp.
Right. And one goal comes to mind, and I believe it was either game 4 or 5. When was it Montour that kind of ran into him on a slide?
Yes.
So in that, for one, and I think you've said this on the podcast already, we love slides. By D-men on like a 2-on-1s,
oh yeah,
sliding's awesome, okay? I think it was a brutal slide, not because it was the wrong choice, but because of where he slid to.
Yeah, so you got to slide at the player with the puck.
Almost like a 45-degree angle with your feet
heading
towards the goal line.
So he's on the right side, he's in the middle. He's in the right side. He's on his right side of the puck carrier. He's in the middle. The puck carrier is on his left side coming down on a 2-on-1. So when he slides, he almost has to push off with his right foot to slide at that guy.
Right.
Because what you're doing is now you're immediately taking away the ice. And he sees a guy coming at him, and he's like, I got to do something with this puck right now. And usually they just fire it off your foot because they try to shoot it or they mishandle it or something.
Yeah, or they try and toe drag you, but it never works out.
That doesn't work.
Because since you slid with your feet backwards, you can, if they try and toe drag you, like I guess on top of your head, you have your stick there to knock it
with your stick, which isn't as reliable as your body, but with your stick, if you're a 6 foot tall defenseman, you're taking up 6 feet plus the 2 inches off your toque, so you're taking up like 6 foot 3 inches.
Yeah,
and then with like your 6 foot long stick.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and your arm reach, you can cover almost
12 feet.
13, 14 feet of the ice,
which is crazy.
That's a lot of coverage.
The other thing that I've noticed, I haven't really noticed it much in the NHL, which is saying something because these guys would be the best at doing this out of anybody. But I've noticed it in leagues that we've played in, or I guess that I've played in, whether it's junior or pro, whatever. The offensive player, the puck handler in that situation, often tries to sauce it over, which rarely works. But even if it does, when a player sauces a puck in a 2-on-1 situation like this, it can't be like a dart.
No, it's a slower pass because it can't just go along the ice right to the guy's tape. It has to have energy taken off of it so that it can land flat before it gets to the player's tape. So now you've just bought time, even if they sauce it over you.
Right. So so as a D-man, and this is one of the reasons why maybe as goalies we love the slide, because for the most part, it's eliminating the cross-ice pass. But even if it happens, we know that we have time to get there. Whereas if it's not a slide and the D-man's just standing in the middle and a guy just rifles a pass through his feet, it's like nearly impossible.
Yeah, you're trying to you're trying to take away your triangle by lining your feet and your stick up, and you have 3 feet of coverage instead of 13.
Or my least favorite.
And you don't take away any time and space that way. You're just trying to let the guy make a pass. And any league, good players, but especially in the NHL, if they have time and space to thread a pass through a 6-inch window, it's going through.
Yeah. Or time and space to make a shot.
Yeah, it's going in.
Yeah. What was I going to say? My least favorite that a D-man does in a 2-on-1 is like a hybrid of the two where they go down on one knee.
Yeah.
Because it gives you, it's happening so quick as a goalie, at least in my head, it's like giving you a false assumption that it is a slide, but the puck can still
go backdoor.
With a dart.
With the dart, because the guy can thread it different ways.
Right.
I'd say that in the stick down.
Oh,
have
yeah.
to be
The
two of
stick
the
down,
worst.
stick down might be worse. Stick down might be worse.
Yeah.
Because the D-man doesn't have, at least with one knee, you have like a little bit of control with one hand on your, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're just like stick down, you're like leaned over, so you're not even like stable. If a guy passes it by your heels or in between your triangle of your glove,
there's nothing
hand,
you can do.
Yeah, like there's not. It's the worst.
So saucer pass. Think about this as a forward. You're a 2-on-1 in a game. You get one of those maybe every 5 games if you're lucky.
What, a 2-on-1?
Yeah,
Probably
as
more,
a forward,
probably more often than that.
every 3 games.
I would say
Once every 3 games.
Yeah, I guess it depends. It depends.
It depends. Okay, you don't get them very often. So you finally get one in a game. You're like, oh, this is a huge scoring opportunity. Your adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're like, okay, I have time and space on a 2. I'm on a 2-on-1. That means I have time. All of a sudden, the D launches himself towards you. Now, in a split second, you realize you have no time. You have nowhere to thread the puck. You can barely get a shot off. And if in that split second, you make a sauce pass that's at least 12 inches off the ice to go over the other guy's pants and pads, 12 inches off the ice, land it flat on the other guy's tape or before the other guy's tape so he can one-time it. It's perfectly on his tape.
Yeah.
He one-times it because we're going to be there at that point.
Yeah, because we had time.
He one-times it up under the bar. If they make that play, okay. Good for you guys.
Good for you.
But more often than not, it's going to hit the D. It's not going to land flat. That guy backdoor can't handle it or get a shot off. If he does get a shot off because it's a sauce and it's landing right on his tape, it's hard to place it, so it's just going to go in your chest.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's all the reasons that we like the slide.
Yeah.
But in that situation, what you're talking about, Bob was so far outside of his crease that Montour slid in. Now, that Montour slid into him. Now, you were saying that Montour should have slid to the left anyways.
Yeah, I just think the way he slid was almost directly back. It was kind of like a foot away from the crease instead of being like where his heels would be like 4 or 5 feet away.
Yeah,
because he went on like a 45-degree angle instead of just right back.
And in that situation, though, we'd like to see Bob head towards the post.
Right. That's the point that I was going to get to. I think it was a brutal slide, but Bob normally would get back to his post, and that brutal slide wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah,
because he would just have that anchor point on his post. And, did the guy shoot it, or did he pass? No, that was the one where he passed it back out front and it hit Barkov.
That was the one where I was like, it was just destined to go in because the guy missed a 6x4. Janmark missed a 6x4 opening in front of the net and it hit off Barkov's chest.
Yeah,
who was back diving to stop that puck.
Yeah,
and went in.
Yeah, all well. Montour. Is that how you say his name? Montour? I feel like I'm saying
Montour,
that's stupid. Yeah. Okay. Montour and Bobrovsky are literally behind the goal line because they ran into each other because Bob played it terribly. Montour slid awfully.
Right into him, yeah. It was a bad slide.
There was just like, there's no reason for that puck not to go in the back of the net, but to your point, it almost didn't.
Right.
It had to hit Barkov, who was putting his entire face and body in front
literally
of it.
dove with his face in front of the puck.
And it just hit him and went in.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, okay, maybe Florida's not destined to win this game.
Yeah.
So then you have, so that's one example of how we thought Bob wasn't playing the way that he would like to play or play his best or how he plays when he's focused. Then you have the breakaways. He'd come in, I think they scored like 5 breakaways in a row was the stat, which why is Florida giving up 5 breakaways in the span of like 4 or 3 games? Shorthanded, by the way. Which isn't a good stat.
No, it's not.
But Bob, we feel like he wasn't playing the breakaways the way he normally does. Like usually he should go back to the post. He would like go out at the puck and the guy would just like tuck it around his foot.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't from what, okay, for the record, a lot of those goals on those breakaways were blocker side, which was highlighted by the media, right? So, of course, as soon as that happens, the media is like, okay, they got Edmonton's figured something out about Bob. They take it. If they get a breakaway, they just pump fake him and then take it to his blocker side, right? Yes, he wasn't. He definitely was not going back to his post, and he was going more so at them than back to his post like he normally does.
Yeah,
but he was still kind of taking like what I would call not a brutal angle at the puck.
Wasn't brutal.
But what he was doing, what I noticed, was he was like, as soon as the player pulled it to his blocker side, he would like push, but then he would like go into like this, almost like the splits.
Yeah. He would immediately open up.
Right. Which he normally, when Bob is dialed, he ain't doing that.
No, he's so fast, he just trusts his slide.
Right.
He just slides into it, takes away all the net. But he was opening up. So again, and there's a lot of examples of Bob doing stuff like this throughout these games where it's like he's a little bit off.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, you know, it's been a long 2.5 months. He's got a chance with his team to win the cup those games. And that's part of that has to be in his mind, right? So we think that he wanted to win so bad that he was just trying really hard to make saves because he wanted to win.
Yep. Yeah, he was. I mean, you see it all the time, you know?
Yeah.
I so badly want to tie in this next one, but I'm not going to.
Hellebuck, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to be patient.
I think we should tell this story and then tie that in
Okay.
with it. I think we should still tie it in.
Okay.
But we're going to tie it in with Bob and then the whole team.
Okay.
So that's what we saw games 4 through 6. Game 7 looked much different. He looked much more calm. He was just boom, set, made the saves look easy, was seeing the puck well. This is going to sound crazy, maybe as a fan, but even probably as a goalie. But even when Bob got scored on in the breakaway in Game 7, he looked dialed in getting scored on.
Okay. I don't remember the goal.
It was I think it was Janmark again. I think it went to his forehand. Bob went to make a blocker save. He didn't open up as much, but it hit the top of his pad and went up into the net. It was just over his pad.
Okay.
Remember that?
So he was more on top of it than like stretched out.
I felt like he was just on it. It just like hit him weird and it went in.
Yeah.
But when he got scored on, he didn't seem as rattled or like, oh, I got to try harder. It was just like, whew, I'm relaxing, I'm calm.
Yeah, he probably knew that he played it very well, whereas the other ones, I guarantee you, like we're talking about Sergei Bobrovsky. This guy is a master of his craft and more dedicated to his craft than probably anybody in the National League right now.
Yeah.
I would argue.
Sid's got to be up there. But but Bob and Sid are like to me 1 and 2. I've heard Vasi is dialed.
Right. There's a bunch of guys, right? But yeah, I don't think you could say, okay, Sid's more dialed than Bob. I don't think you could say Bob's more dialed than Vasi. I think they're all in the same
It's hard
category.
to measure.
Right.
Everyone being dialed is different.
Right. He can feel, he knows the difference when he gets scored on, whether or not he played it poorly or if it was like, like I played that the way I wanted to, the way I think I should, and it still just went in. And I think when you let in a goal, when you know you played it relatively properly, it's easier to let go of.
You don't get frustrated
because you're not pissed off at yourself.
Yeah,
you're
right.
like,
I got scored on.
Yeah.
And there's games where you get scored on, but you feel dialed. You just get scored on, and it's like, oh, okay, and it's easier to move on. It's the games where you like don't feel as focused that you get scored on, and you're like, I got to put that behind me, and then you're trying too hard, and it just stuff can happen, and we could talk about that in a different episode.
Yeah.
But so we went from Bob being super, to me, a little bit chaotic and a little bit chasing the game to him just being calm and dialed and just playing within the net. And I mean, I thought that was the difference from games 4 through 6 to Game 7.
Right.
Like, so mentally, which is where we are going to start to get into, what do you think the difference was games 4 through 6 versus games 4 through 7?
Honestly, I don't. There's a couple different ways to look at it. So I'm going to try and imagine that I'm him in this situation.
Okay.
Okay. Because I mean, on a smaller scale, and whether we're talking about just the fact that I'm not in the NHL, or even from just like a regular season slump standpoint, not the last 4 games of the Stanley Cup. I think when I've been in, we'll call it, I guess, a 3-game slump, more often than not, when I've gotten myself out of it was when I took a step back and either talked to a coach or like a goalie coach or somebody about it, or even a parent or somebody, you know, and kind of just put everything that was going on through my head out there to somebody.
Yeah.
And more often than not, when I had those conversations with people, I realized that I was doing everything that was happening bad was not the circumstances in front of me, but how I was approaching them and thinking of them.
I would agree, yeah.
So obviously the story that we heard about him walking on the beach and not going to practice, whatever.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, he probably did something along those lines.
We know he wasn't at practice for sure.
Right.
We don't know why, but it's unusual for Bob to miss ice time.
Yeah, he's usually the first guy on.
Right.
And doesn't, as far as I can tell, he doesn't miss ice ever.
No, doesn't.
So he must have had one of those moments where he's like, okay, I'm not myself right now. I've got to take a look in the mirror. And however he did that, I don't know. Maybe it was just simply as walking on the beach and staring at the sky for 5 hours.
That would work.
I don't know. Or maybe he had a 3-hour heart-to-heart with somebody.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Kyle Okposo mentioned the day before Game 7, he was just playing street hockey with his kids in his driveway.
Right.
That's another great.
So it sounds like a common theme could be with the Panthers team after losing 3 games where they had a chance to win the Stanley Cup. They took their brains away from it.
Yeah, I think that this is a really good thing to go into. I think this is really important because first of all, when you're in like what you feel like is a skid, which doesn't mean you're losing, it doesn't mean you're not, or you mean you could be losing. You probably are.
Yeah.
But it's a stretch of games where you just didn't feel like you had your best focus, and I don't want to say, and sometimes that's just out of your control. Like you do everything you can to prepare. Sometimes you're just not going to feel focused. That's okay. We always say that the good goalies find a way to give their team a chance to win when they don't feel that focused.
Right. But they probably also have an understanding, which for me took time, that you're not going to always feel good.
Right. That's I would always get upset with myself. Like, why don't I feel good? I did all the preparation I could have done.
Right.
Now I'm just like, okay, I don't feel my best, whatever.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Just manage the game.
Yeah, you've told me
It's fine.
before games even. You're like, yeah, I feel okay.
Yeah.
Or after warm-ups, you're like,
Yeah, right.
But there's also...
But that doesn't mean you're going to lose.
Right. There's also times where you like something happens in warm-ups and you're like, I'm not going to say you're rattled, but you're well aware that like it didn't go very well out there.
Right.
And in my head, I'm like, he's going to get a shutout tonight.
Yeah, usually.
I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, usually if I get upset in warm-ups, I play well.
Which is just, it's ass backwards, but it's just, it's the facts.
I try not to because I know the other team could be looking at me and be like, oh, he's rattled. We got him. But then like really it's just me. I'm just more focused when I get out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand
how
that works.
I've never two-handed water bottles off the bench in warm-ups. Even when I've been rattled. I watched you go take a warm-up, leave the net, skate directly to the bench, wind up your stick, two-hand, and chop every single water bottle that's sitting on top of the bench off the top of the bench.
Coach is like, is he good? You're like, guys.
And I'm pretty sure you gave up 1 goal on 27 shots that game.
This was in Evansville, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was like the game after Christmas.
Yeah, our assistant coach comes to me, he's like, what happened, Lottie? You good? I'm like, no, I'm not good. These guys are brutal. It's the worst warm-up team I've ever been on. He's like, I know, they're brutal. So I guess it's me too.
But see, you vented it.
Yeah.
You got it out.
Got it out.
And you were dialed.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
So anyways. Yeah, but a lot of times if I get rattled in warm-ups, it's because I think like I'm terrible.
Right.
I'm like I suck. I'm not. I can't,
right. Whereas I'm like, these guys suck.
Right. So, going back to, you feel like you're in a stretch where you're not playing your best. I think, first of all, you can't think of it as, you can't keep acknowledging that, oh, I'm in a stretch, I'm not playing my best. Like, it should be, each game should be isolated, and you shouldn't even have remembered what happened last game because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, because then if you're starting thinking, okay, I'm in a slump, whatever, I'm not playing my best, then you're going to start going out there and being like, I got to compete really hard and try really hard and play my best. And then all you're going to do is try to force yourself into being focused and force yourself into stopping the puck, and you're just going to take yourself farther off your game. Then you're not going to feel good. You might lose again, and then now you're even farther off coming back to being your best.
Right. And then you're trying to figure out what the hell went wrong.
Right. And you're like, what's going on with my game right now? It's like, you got to like you said, take a step back. You just got to, I say, write your thoughts down after the game, and then that's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
You can't think next game, I got to do really good this game because I didn't do well last game. Because all you're doing is acknowledging that you didn't feel your best last game. Obviously, I'm not saying throw it away and don't try to get better from it. You still want to get better from it, like learn from it. But mentally, it can affect your preparation going into the next game is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think for Bob, the fact that they could win the cup and the fact that maybe he didn't have his best game last game affected him going into games 5 and 6 at least, because game 4 he had just won 3 in a row.
Right. Yeah, I think the initial cause was probably, by the sounds of things from other players on the team, was the fact that they had a chance to win and they were thinking about that.
And Bob, that had to cross his mind.
100%. And it might have been something that small that triggered him just a little bit being off his game.
100% it is.
And then as soon as that leads to goals starting to go in that normally wouldn't, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Like the path to, it's very hard to get to the peak of your game, but it's very easy to fall down to the bottom where you're just brutal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This episode is brought to you by Modern Goaltending. Modern Goaltending is hosting 2 camps this summer. Our first camp will be hosted in Alabama at the Pelham Civic Complex in Pelham from July 16th to 19th. And our second camp will be hosted in Florida at the Community First Igloo in Jacksonville from August 2nd to the 4th. Both camps include professional goalie and shooter coaches, as well as off-ice performance testing and training. Our camps serve dietitian-approved meals while also hosting multiple classroom sessions hosted by our dietitian, life coach, and video coach. The goal of our camps is to better each individual athlete by giving them new on-ice tools to work on and improve their game. Off-ice, our classroom, workouts, and testing sessions are designed to provide athletes with insight and information on what they need to work on moving forward in their hockey careers, while also giving them a glimpse into what it's like to be a professional athlete. To sign up for one or both of our Modern Goaltending camps, please visit moderngoaltending.com/camps. Link in description. So I think in all the credit to Bob, by the way, because everything we're talking about can be very difficult to do, and I can't imagine.
Nothing we're saying is easy.
I can't imagine on this scale.
And actually, I know we're not talking about him, but I feel like Stuart Skinner was really good at doing the same thing in playoffs.
He did that in the third round, right?
Yeah, against Dallas.
Right. He was
got
pulled,
benched, got chirped by his fan. Again, we talked about it last week. But anyways, I thought he was really good at just resetting himself every game. But now Bob had to do the same thing, and this is what makes him one of the best, is that he was able to do that when he needed to. So I think you have to stop digging if you're in what you feel like is a hole. Mm-hmm. You can't keep thinking what's going on. You just have to, it's gone. You completely forget about it. It's tough because those few games, even if you put them behind you, they're still going to be on your stat sheet. And it's hard to just throw that away. It's like, whatever. I have goals. I was having a good season. Now I just had 3 games that didn't go my way, and now like my stats are ruined.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's easy to start thinking that way, but you can't. You can't do anything about those games. If you keep thinking I gotta be super good this game because I didn't have my best last game, I feel like it's just going to snowball and it's going to compound, and you don't want that to happen. You want the positivity and optimism and confidence to compound.
I think, just because you just mentioned it, some of the best advice I could possibly give to a goalie where stats are recorded is to not even look at them.
Yeah, that's right. Once you start thinking about, okay, well, I've given up this many goals on this shots this game. Now I have to make, if I've given up 2 goals on 5 shots, I have to make 15 straight saves to get to 900. And I've already given up 2 on 5. How am I supposed to make 15 saves?
Yeah, it's very difficult to do because, I mean, once you get to a level where the shots are on a scoreboard consistently, it's very difficult not to have a look at them. But again, talk about a slippery slope, man. Yeah. Talk about that's a mid-game slippery slope.
Yeah, because you're. Yeah.
Do you ever? And also, you mentioned 900. Like, obviously, like you just mentioned how I got to get to 900. That's what goes. That's been through my brain too. I got to get.
I got to imagine that's.
I got to get to my 900.
Brain. Yeah.
Why is it always 900? Like, where did that come from? Where it's
because that's what's considered good numbers.
To who?
Just the hockey world in general.
I would love to know where that comes from.
I think it depends on what team you're playing on and what league you're playing on.
Right.
Like in the NHL, I think 900 is more of a fair number.
I think 900 is an average number.
Based on chances.
Like a good number in the NHL is like 920.
Yeah. Based on chances they give up.
Yeah.
You know?
Whereas if you're in maybe a different league, a lower league.
If you're playing youth hockey and your team gives up 6 breakaways a game, you're probably not going to have a 900, and that's okay.
And that's fine.
And that's where we're worried about getting better every game and getting better every day.
Yeah.
And that's what you should be focused on rather than your numbers.
Right. So all the more reason, let's say you're sitting at like a 940, okay?
Yeah.
Which, especially at the beginning of the season, can happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because let's say you're 5 games in, you're more likely to have a 940 5 games in, potentially, than 40 games in.
100%, because things are going to go. If things are going really your way, things are going to go not your way over the course of the season.
Right. Just chances are. Eventually the team's not going to play good, or you're going to have a bad night. It is what it is.
100%. I mean, yeah, over the course of a season.
Right. 100%.
Absolutely.
So where I'm getting at here is, let's say you have a game where you let in 10 goals. Are you going to look at the stat sheet for your season to that point? Let's say game 15 and go, man, my stats are done now. And you're just going to be down in the dumps and then go on a 3-game skid because you're so worried about your stats.
Right after the game, that would be very easy to do.
If I was a scout, man, I mean this wholeheartedly. I would not look at a goalie's single stat line for the season.
No.
I would, if I'm looking at stats, which I think that's where everyone goes to first before being like, okay,
right.
Now let's look into the rest of this guy. Let's watch some clips,
unfortunately.
right? At the very least, if I'm just looking at stats, I would find game-by-game stats. And if I see that this guy is consistently posting a save percentage of, let's just say 920,
yeah,
but then every 12 games he lets in 6,
yeah,
I'm going to like that a lot more than a guy who's sitting at 920, but he's like 980, 850, 950, 800.
Yeah, because they say that especially coaches and scouts, they want to know what they're going to get from their goalie every game.
They want consistency.
Yeah, they just want consistency.
Right? And it's often said what coaches, especially at the NHL, well, at every level, are looking for, like you said, is consistency. And the best goalies in the world know how to bounce back the quickest.
Yeah. But is bouncing back being like, I have to play sick next game because I had a bad game? Or is bouncing back being like, put that behind me, just focus going forward?
The latter.
Okay.
I got to think.
Now let's say you do that and things don't go your way again.
Then you rinse and repeat.
You just keep doing the same thing.
100%.
I would agree. Yeah. You just keep going through the same process. Now, as a scout, though, it might look like, oh, this guy can't bounce back.
Right. So again,
you see what I'm saying?
100%. On a smaller scale, my goalie coach, actually, he was my goalie coach growing up, but through juniors, I would work with him in the summer. I went to a development camp when I was probably 17 or 19 years old. And before I left for camp, the one advice he actually gave me was, because I was pretty nervous. Mm-hmm. He said, during the drills, just don't get scored on multiple times in a row. Now, what he was trying to say, I took that as not the latter of what you were saying. I was like, okay, as soon as I get scored on, I got to try hard.
I got to dial hard.
Right. Now I'm 5 feet outside of my crease.
Right.
But
now Henrik Sedin is sliding it backdoor.
Which I'll put a little bit on him for saying that to a 17-year-old kid. It was just mentally incompetent. Right. But I think what he was trying to get across was just get the reason why he said that was because scouts are looking for consistency. So if I let's say I let in a stinker in a flow drill or whatever, a scout might catch that and be like, ugh, right?
Yeah.
Now, if the next shot comes by and I do it again, he might be like, oh my, what is this guy doing?
Yeah, especially if you have bad body language after the first one and in between the two.
Right.
And after the second one.
So I think to round up this point, it's like the most important thing is, okay, bad things are going to happen, whether it's you have a bad game or you let in a bad goal. It's a matter of, after that happens, how do you handle it?
Yeah.
And I think the point we're trying to make is, if your way of handling these situations, whether it's in your control or not, is trying harder and being in your head or getting in your own head, it's going to make you worse.
Yeah.
And it's a slippery slope.
And another thing to take away from this is that we're talking about like the best goalie in the world right now. Even he struggled doing this
For 3 games.
At least 2.
Okay, so he might have had a good game in there?
No. But what I'm saying is that going into Game 4, he had just won 3 in a row, maybe like 5, maybe 7 in a row because they might have. It was 2. They won 6 in a row because it was Rangers went up 2-1, and then I think they swept the series after that. So that was 3 games they won against the Rangers. Then they won the first 3 games of the finals. They're up 3-0. He just won 6 games in a row. So my point is going into Game 4, he was probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Game 4 knocked him off, and then for 2 games he had to figure out how to rebound from that. And I think it was a mix of I want to win the cup, so he's already trying harder, and then it was a mix of I got pulled last game, so I'm trying even double hard.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we have to. We people understand or I hope can understand the pressures of that. Right.
Right. So what he did, if this is true, and I think this is why he wasn't on the ice, because he knew, okay, I've had 3 games I lost. I'm in a mental area or mental situation where I'm thinking I have to try harder and try too hard and compete harder. So what did he do? He got away from it. Didn't go on the ice, and in my opinion, he took that day to just mentally reset, get everything out. Like, all that's happened, the games don't exist. It's just one game, and I'm just going to play the way that I play. You have to let all the circumstances fall away.
Right.
And I think that's what Bob did, and I think that's why he looks so smooth and just himself and catching everything, just dialed in.
He was reset, man.
Game 7, he was reset.
Back to himself.
So the mental reset is huge.
Yeah. It's one of the hardest things to do in goaltending because again, cliche, but goaltending is it's 95 or even higher % mental.
See, to me, and to me, it's harder as a goalie. Like you can see other athletes go out and try harder. To me, it's harder as a goalie to just go out and try harder and get a better result.
Yeah, because the game is coming to you.
Right. Like if I'm a quarterback, if I'm Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, I can go out the next game and be like, I'm trying harder and probably do well, but you also have the ball in your hand every play.
Right. It's in your control.
Goalie, you have no control.
Yeah. The game is coming to you.
So you have to be in that mental sort of zen flow where your mind is just calm and quiet and just focused. And you can't do things to take it away from that.
Right.
I think you can't force it into that spot. I think you have to let everything fall away. So it ends up in that spot. You end up focused. And trying to do stuff to get you more focused is just going to take it away from that.
That's a good point. Letting it end up where you're focused. I've had there's many situations that I could talk about, but there's times where before I even get to the rink, I know I'm not feeling good. But over time, like we talked about with experience and maturity, you become okay with that. Yeah. There's been times where literally I'm aware of that from the 2.5 hours I'm at the rink prior to the game, through warm-ups, and even maybe a few minutes into the first period before I get my first shot, where I feel like shit. Yeah. But then my first shot comes, maybe it's a decent save. Right. And because I was okay with that entire 4-hour process of just not feeling great, as soon as I made that save, it clicked me into feeling great. Right. And you just, during that 4-hour process, you can't think about, I'm not feeling good tonight. Because to me, it used to be, I'm not feeling good. I have to do something to get myself feeling good, or I'm just like not going to have a good game. Right. But instead, you acknowledge that thought exists. Okay, whatever. I'm not feeling my best today. And you just let it go. Mm-hmm. And then you don't think about it. If it crosses your mind again, boom, let it go. It's like the meditative state of playing goalie. Right. And if it does come in, then fill it with a different thought. Be like, yeah, maybe I don't feel my best, but guess what? I'm going to play well tonight. I'm going to give my team a chance to win. Were you ever superstitious before games, or was it always just like routine based? I think mostly routine, but I think sometimes when I was a kid, I feel like I was more superstitious. Yeah, me too. And I found even like not even kid, like I won't lie, I probably up until I was, I don't know, recently, like the last 5 years. Yeah. I eliminated superstitions and made it all strictly routine. Yeah. And my routine was based off of the circumstances that I know could or could not happen, whether because of the league I'm in, because of travel or whatever. Right. You're talking about ECHL, the bus breaks down halfway to Rapid City. Right. So I developed... You're not getting 2 hours to warm up, buddy. Right. So I developed a routine for myself that had no superstitions, but I knew that everything that I would consider a routine it goes as far back to even my routine starts the day before, to be honest, where it's just like taking care of my body, hydrating, whatever, getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, but we also both like to just hang out and mentally do whatever, or like do our hobbies, work on our hobbies that just mentally gets us clean.
Right. But so my point of all this is the old me had all these superstitions. Some was routine where it would benefit my game. Others was literally like, okay, I'm tying my left skate before my right, right? It's like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It got to the point where if I wasn't feeling good, I relied so much on my superstitions that if I couldn't get one of them, I would be so rattled prior to the game.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not playing well.
In my head, I'm like, I'm not going to play good because I tied my right skate before my left. That's a bad example, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So for this reason, I've always told my younger goalies, eliminate superstitions.
Yeah.
And whatever your routine is, review it. From this moment, review your routine and ask yourself, can I do everything in this routine? For one, is this everything in my routine benefiting my game? Because if it's not, get rid of it.
Right.
Because at that point, it's a superstition.
Yeah.
2, no matter what the circumstance is, things happen, right, in daily life.
100%.
No matter what the circumstance is, can I still get my routine in? If the answer is no, I think you have to change your routine. That's my opinion.
Right.
That's how I work. Because I need to find something that works for me, and I need to know that I can get that done before the game to feel good.
Okay.
But superstitions to me are way too dominant in sports in an athlete's mind. Yeah. There's no value to them. You cannot convince me that tying your one skate before the other is going to benefit your game.
No. And I have a couple of different thoughts on this. I'm similar to where I have a routine that I can do in the 2 hours before a game. But let's say something happens and we're there, we're there late and warm-ups in 45 minutes or half an hour.
Traffic on the way to the game.
I then figure out, okay, what in my routine in this half an hour I have to do it? What in my team? What do I want to keep and what do I want to take out? This year we had one where we didn't have any time for a routine, and all I did was just like my visualization, and that's it.
Wow.
Didn't get the body warmed up. Didn't do ball drills off the wall.
How much time did we have?
Like 30 minutes, I think. Oh. Stepped on the ice for on-ice warm-up. We won that game like 2-1 or 3-1 with an empty net.
Oh, so you had a good game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on the road. And so I know. So now, for instance, you're saying you can do it even if we have 20 minutes till you have to get dressed when we get there, you can still do your routine. I pick and choose what I'm going to keep in and take out depending on the night. Obviously, I'd like to do the whole thing. I'd like to get a sweat going. I'd like to have my body. But at the very least, I want my mind dialed in.
Okay. So you
think my mind's dialed in, I'm good to go.
Okay, yeah. So you prioritize your mind being ready over your body.
Yeah, and I do think when you're doing warm-ups and like active warm-ups, dynamic stretching, you are getting your mind ready because your body getting fired up gets your mind fired up too.
Yes.
But at the very least, just in my visualization was good to go.
Okay.
But, okay, so if you don't have time to do your full routine or you don't have time to do a superstition, what I think now is, obviously, during the season, we work as hard as we work. We work hard in the off season. We work hard in the season. The goalies we work with do all the work too. So the thought that I have is me not being able to do this specific part of my routine, is that just going to throw away the thousands and thousands of hours of training that I've done to be able to play this game?
Only if you let it mentally.
Right. That's not gonna. It's not like, oh, I can't do this. So now all the
back squats you did are just gone.
All the goalie sessions we've done, all the practices, like all that's not just going to be gone. You still have it, so just let it be there and just trust it.
100%. And you know what? Like I found too. So for the record, my routine, and I'll just go out on a limb and say this: my routine is, and you've probably seen this, is like 15 minutes long.
Yeah, your routine to me is uncomfortably short.
Right, but it's over time it's become that because I know. I've just, I guess, learned my body, and through multiple injuries and whatever, I've learned that what I do in that 15 minutes at the bare minimum will allow my body to perform generally speaking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Am I making sense? Okay.
Yeah, but once you get on the ice and get through your on-ice warm-up, you're going to be feeling okay.
Right. And this just clicked in my brain, and you were there for this. The day I tore my groin, that was, 3 or 4 years ago?
I want to say 4 coming up this season.
Yeah. That moment, it was very similar to your situation where you said you had about half an hour to get ready and you used that for your mind.
Yeah.
For me, my routine, even at that point, so I'm 25 years old. I still was not in the mindset I'm in today where I had that 15-minute routine because I still had certain superstitions. That day when we got there, I prioritized the few superstitions I had left over, I need to stretch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what happens? I go out there and someone takes a shot at my blocker. I go on the butterfly and I rip my
Beautiful
groin in
save.
half. Actually, no, it wasn't.
Is that the first game with your new pads?
No.
Okay.
No. That would have been hilarious, though, from just the standpoint of me going out there with brand new pads that I shouldn't have been wearing it. And I did do that, but it wasn't that day, no. And the play was literally, it was just a pass from the half wall to a guy at the top of the circle.
Yeah.
And I just took a long shuffle over, went down, my groin snapped.
And
I like to think now that a play like that, if I arrive half an hour before the game, wouldn't happen to me because of my 15-minute routine. I can just over time learn my body.
Right.
It's enough for me to physically be able to play. And to further your point, and also this came with time, all the training I put up or did up until that point is all I need mentally to be ready for a game.
Yeah, you just know you're ready.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to do the work.
Right.
And not cut corners in practice and not cut corners in workout and goalie session, because if you are, you don't have that training to fall back on. I mean, you can try to convince yourself, but it's not backed by work.
You
just know. So that's why it's so important to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
All I remember from that game of you tearing your groin was you made a save block. I was like, sweet. I looked down to I don't know what I was doing, if I was grabbing a water for somebody or a towel. And all I hear is the goalie from out of the bench, Milo, go, "Hey, Stu, you might want to get ready."
You're probably still taking your gloves off.
Yeah, I was putting my blocker
4 minutes
down.
into the game.
Right, I'm getting ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to work the door.
Yeah.
And I just hear Milo go, "Hey, Stewie, you might want to get ready. Lotsy it looks pretty bad." I was like, "What do you mean?" I look up and you're just on your stomach,
starfished on the ice. Yeah, the boys had to come carry me off.
He felt bad. He felt bad. He was just trying to say, "Hey, you might want to stretch," to me. Yeah, he was trying to help. But as a goalie,
he's like, that was a routine blocker save, and this guy's screaming on the ice right now.
He knew it instantaneously.
Yeah.
Oh man.
For the record, that might have been the worst pain I don't want to say I've ever had, but it's very close. It's got to be. It's up there, man.
It's got to be. I've pulled my groin. I remember that thing hurt.
As have I. And snapping your groin is significantly worse.
Yeah.
Obviously.
100%.
Yeah,
Kidding
that
me?
was bad.
Yeah, that was tough.
Through torn shoulders and all the other BS we deal with as athletes.
Yeah, dislocated shoulders.
Yeah, tearing your groin, I can vouch for that being some pretty brutal stuff.
Dislocated shoulder hurts, but it's also uncomfortable because you can't move your arm and get it back into its socket, and you know that's what you're trying to do. Can't imagine a dislocated hip.
Makes me want to throw up.
Which you did.
Yeah, makes me want to throw up.
Yeah. So, anyways, to wrap this point up, we went into a lot there, but we just think Bob, whether he took a walk on the beach or not, missed practice to just reset himself mentally.
Yeah.
Just put everything behind, and every time you have a game or a stretch where it's not going your way, that's what you have to do.
Agreed.
And as far as the not feeling good going into a game, Ken Dryden gave me some advice on this. And Ken Dryden was good. I think he has 5 Vezinas. But I was talking to him, just chatting with him about playing goalie. And obviously playing goalie back then was very different because, you barely had anything protecting your face. But he was saying hey, sometimes you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to be getting breakfast, you're going to feel tired. You're not going to feel good. He's like, but don't worry about that. Don't let that change anything you do, because once the game starts and once you get going into the game, you're going to be feeling okay.
Right.
And so I think just having the faith in that is something that's difficult mentally, but something that you got to do.
So if Ken Dryden is furthering basically the 54-minute point we just made, I think it's a pretty good point.
Yeah, it should be a good point.
We're talking about Ken Dryden here. Also, can we talk about you getting to have a conversation with Ken Dryden?
Yeah, just he was at this event I was at, and I just chatted with him. Really cool to talk to about playing goalie.
Yeah, to me, he's like one of the most interesting goalies ever because of obviously the way he came in to the league was like, you won a Stanley Cup, did he not?
I think
right away.
His first year, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, and then 5 Vs. Like he's very decorated goalie.
Yeah.
But then didn't he also like leave the game very early because he was so like business
when he was like 33? Yeah.
Was it business or was it law? I think it was.
He was law.
Yeah.
But according to his book, The Game, which is a really good book for goalies.
I think I have that book.
But you haven't read it. It kind of follows like a couple weeks of an NHL schedule and what's going through his mind the whole time. And some of it is wild, and maybe we should spend an episode on it. But like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Him talking about like how he doesn't want to play because he's afraid he's not going to play well.
Yeah. He
feels like trapped because he has to play, and the only way out of the trap is to play.
Wow.
It's like all kinds of stuff.
That's some deep stuff.
He's like worried. He has anxiety.
Right.
And you're talking about like a 5-time Vezina winner.
Right.
So
one of the best ever played.
If he gets nervous going into games, then don't be too hard on yourself if you get a little bit nervous before games.
So he felt like he was trapped when he was playing for the Montreal Canadiens, winning Stanley Cups and Vezinas.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like even guys who are that good have the same mental stuff that guys at youth hockey have.
It's crazy to think about someone who's
gals.
someone who's having that much success can still feel all those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, like
100%.
I think you from the outside looking in, you would, I mean, obviously he played a long time ago, but from the outside looking in, whether it's modern day or then, you'd be like, this guy's got a sick life. Like he's probably so happy and he's got everything going for him. Meanwhile, he's strapping his pads on thinking, shit.
Yeah.
You know? I can't believe I have to go do this right now.
I wonder how this one's going to go.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, I've always found it, I guess I should just read the book that I'm pretty sure I own. It's sitting in my parents' basement right now.
Yeah. And he, oddly enough, had weird superstitions.
Really?
Like when you know how before every game the ref like points at each end to make sure the goal lights work? He would keep his head down so that he didn't see the goal light go on.
Yeah, maybe the whole maybe I'm way off on the superstition thing, because wasn't it Patrick Waugh? Didn't he like not step on the lines or something?
Didn't step on the blue lines.
So Patrick Waugh and Ken Dryden both were superstitious.
Yeah, we could be off course on this whole thing. Is Crosby superstitious?
He wore the same jock for like ever. Have you ever seen him? Did you ever see his ball cap that he wore for the first 15 years of his NHL career? Has he won a Stanley Cup since he stopped wearing that ball cap?
I don't know. But it looks like this is our last episode because it's all just going down the drain.
Yeah, maybe we should become more superstitious. Get some of those aren't there like rocks and stuff people put in their room to help them with like good juju and shit like that?
Yeah.
Some stones.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should get some stones on the table here.
Heck yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I can't go anymore. You know my opinion on it. I think superstitions are stupid, but take it for what it's worth. You know, I'm here and they're Ken Dryden and Patrick Waugh.
Yeah, he's got like 5 Vezinas and 5 Cups. So, and
a very successful lawyer and businessman.
Yeah, he was in Canadian Parliament. He's like a senator for the Canadian government. He was.
Okay, I gotta read this guy's book. He might be the most interesting goalie to ever live.
He's got to be up there.
Like right up there with the guys that like did severe damage to their body, self-inflicted, that just would go out the next day and
Right.
shutouts and stuff.
Yeah, I don't get how they
They're
did
both
that.
equally as interesting to me.
But Ken also recently, not too long ago, wrote an article about how the net should be bigger. So
Why would he do that? He thinks goalies are too
good.
That's kind of sick though. That the game's advanced, the position is advanced that much that Ken
Again,
Dryden's like,
yeah, we
make
can.
it bigger.
He basically, the first half is explaining how good goalies are, and with like the RVH and the speed and the equipment and just how good they are nowadays.
So he likes the RVH.
Yeah, he's like, you're a wall on one. Literally, you can't score on one side of the net.
That's interesting that Ken Dryden likes the RVH.
Based on this, what I read in this article, yes. But he wants it to be more like soccer where you can score from different distances. He's like, all the game is right now is just funneling pucks to the net and waiting for bounces and then guys shoveling it in around the net. He's like, wouldn't it be cool if guys could wrist it from like above the top circles and have a chance to score?
No. I don't think so.
I think there's plenty of goal scoring already.
Why would it be more entertaining from a fan point of view? Because I'm assuming he's talking about he wants it to be more entertaining, right?
Well, it's like from the time you cross the blue line, you have a chance to score.
Right. So why would it be more entertaining from a fan point of view for it to be less difficult to score a goal?
Well, there'd be more goals, but I agree. I think it's cooler when a guy scores when they're like, oh, there was no room there. How'd they put the puck there?
That's
dude?
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't want to be a fan and watching Sergei Bobrovsky have no chance on stopping a puck from the blue line.
Well, he'd have a chance. It just might still go in.
Okay, so
You have a lot of time to react if it's from the blue line.
yeah, but if it's like soccer, I in my brain, I'm not a soccer guy. Okay, keep that in mind. I don't know anything about it, but in my brain, when I think of soccer, and the goals that I've seen is like a guy can score from like the midfield. Yeah,
they shoot it over the goalie's head.
That's so brutal. Why is that? Why is that entertaining? How's that entertaining?
Because in soccer, shots are like 6-4 for a game. I feel like.
Yeah, again, why I don't like soccer. Okay, soccer should change.
What about lacrosse goalie? If you have a 50% save percentage, you're great in field lacrosse.
And that's just because there's more control over the ball, right?
Yeah, I mean the shots are like gotta be impossible to stop.
I don't know.
They can bounce it. They can do whatever they want.
This is one of those things I have to think about before I form my opinion.
Let's let you think about this. I think we did a good job. We talked about Bobrovsky. Basically, the way he was able to bounce back was just by clearing his mind and getting out of there. And then we went on a 45-minute discussion on how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh, just clear your mind. That's it.
Yeah,
but it's hard to do.
Yeah, but on top of that, we did go on a 45-minute rant, but we also tied in like a bunch of different things, which normally we don't do, and we just beat the dead horse.
I think that's useful.
I think so too. I hope so.
Yeah, we might have to have like a Ken Dryden episode because he also talked to me about Carey Price, what makes him so good, and that was really interesting to me. That was when Carey Price was like winning Vezina and whatever.
Carey Price might be my favorite goalie to ever play. I don't know why. Just like whenever.
Well, first of all, he's a Western leaguer,
yeah,
which is you.
Yeah.
He's from Alberta?
Nope.
BC.
Northern BC.
BC.
Used to take a.
Don't tell me what it is. Anaheim Lake.
I don't know. That sounds
right. I think
it's
though. Anaheim Lake,
that sounds
BC.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the cooler facts about Carey Price was his dad used to fly him in for his.
That's sweet.
I think games and practices to wherever
practices,
he played.
Yeah, it was like a couple hours. Yeah.
Isn't that sick?
Heck yeah.
That's so cool. The best guy. Well, hang on. One of the best guys to ever do it, in my opinion, used to take a plane to practice that his dad was flying.
Yeah, we're not talking about like a Gulfstream. We're talking about a little like single engine propeller plane. Toss your gear in the back and buckle up.
How sick is that?
That's cool.
That is so cool.
It's like Chase Elliott flying himself to North Carolina every day for practice. I think it's cool.
That is sick.
And again, I want to be able to do that.
Me too. Whoa, back that up. I don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to do that.
Just right.
I just like the idea of me doing that, but
yeah,
I don't.
It sounds cool.
If push came to shove, I'd be like, no, I'm not playing hockey.
No.
I am not going to practice today.
Right.
Because I in my head, and I mean this, I think I'm going to die on the way to practice.
Right.
Meanwhile, statistics probably show that I have a less chance of dying than
you'd be worse off driving to practice.
I used to be in my mom and dad's SUV on one-lane highways in rural Manitoba through a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Where they can barely keep it on the road.
Again.
And I'm just in there like texting like my buddies and like it's all good.
Again, I think you're statistically worse off.
Yeah, I agree, but it still doesn't change my fear.
Yeah, that's all right.
For whatever reason.
That's all right. We're conquering them one at a time.
My fears don't make any sense.
No.
I'll admit that. I have 3 fears. Flying.
Okay.
The ocean.
Okay.
And the other one I'm not going to mention.
Okay. But we can get 2 of those knocked out. Well, at least one. We can get the scuba diving one knocked out.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Okay. This episode is brought to you by Vita Era Hydration. Vita Era addresses 2 critical issues for a healthy lifestyle. First, throughout your day, you lose essential vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. Whether you're taking a walk, working out, or engaging in any energy-intensive activity, Vita Era replenishes these nutrients without the processed sugars and artificial additives like sucralose or aspartame found in many hydration products. Instead, Vita Era uses stevia, one of the healthiest natural sweeteners, to provide a refreshing taste. Second, with 60 to 70% of our bodies made up of water and 75% of people chronically dehydrated, it's showing that we're not drinking enough water. As an additive to water, Vita Era encourages you to increase your water intake. Vita Era is a 3-in-1 solution. It provides your everyday essential vitamins and minerals, green tea for enhanced performance and recovery, and electrolytes to maximize hydration efficiency. Each serving includes 500 milligrams of potassium, equivalent to the potassium content of a banana. Stay hydrated. Drink Vita Era.
Okay. So I think we should wrap this thing up and tie this whole Bob thing into what Kyle Okposo was saying after the game.
Agreed.
And he was saying that in games 4 through 6, he felt like the Panthers as a group started thinking about the end result, which is winning the cup, rather than how they were playing the first 3 games. And I think that's almost impossible not to do, because it's much easier to just think about the process and playing the right way when you're game 1, game 2, game 3. Like, you have a while before you're going to win the cup. So you're just so focused on what you're doing right now. I think in games, it's the same way. Like in the first period, to me, it's so much easier just to focus on playing how I want to play. And the second period, then in the third period, it's like 2-1. You're like, oh, we got to hold them, instead of just keeping that same mindset of just playing the way you need to play.
Right.
So I think it's human nature, but I think that at least they were able to acknowledge it and realize it and just get back to – they look like they were playing their game way better in this Game 7, just getting pucks deep, forechecking hard. Everything that we talked about that we liked from them was good in Game 7. It wasn't in 4 through 6.
What's interesting to me about this is, and that this has to be just like human nature, because obviously it wasn't just, like you said, it wasn't just Bobrovsky, it was Okposo, and according to Okposo, the team.
And that's a long-time veteran, by the way.
Yes.
Also another ex-Buffalo Sabre who wins a cup now.
Hardworking, good dude, captain of Buffalo.
I want to say he was Buffalo's captain.
Yeah. I had a good point to make here. Oh, what's interesting to me is, yes, he acknowledges this, and I'm sure the rest of them do as well. But again, I'm going to say human nature. It's interesting to me that the human brain, collectively, 20 guys, were thinking about this for 2 games. And it wasn't until,
I would say, 4, 5, and 6. Although Paul Maurice thought they played really well in game 5 or 6.
Right, 4, 5, and 6, okay?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until their backs were against the wall that they looked in the mirror.
And you kind of just let it go.
Right. But it wasn't until they had no choice but to win, or they were going to lose, for them to for Sergei to go for a walk on the beach.
Right.
It's interesting to me how a group of the best hockey players, the best team in the world, right? Just won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, best team in the league.
Even it took them to get to the point where they had no choice but to win, or they suffered like the worst collapse in NHL history.
Since, I want to say, the Red Wings in 1946.
19 long time ago.
40s. They lost. The Leafs came back.
Yeah, something like that. You knew it was a long time ago the Leafs came
The
back.
Leafs won 4 games in a row, which is more series than they've won in the last 20 years.
Crazy.
Combined.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So it's clearly a very difficult thing to do. And
Well,
it even took the Florida Panthers to be facing elimination to have a aha moment.
I think you got to think about it because Okposo is talking about, and Evan Rodriguez are talking about as kids, this is what you grow up and this is what you dream about doing. So since you decided you wanted to play hockey and take it serious, since you're 5 years old or 4 years old, you've thought about winning the Stanley Cup. It's been 22, 23 years of you playing hockey. Now you're 28.
Yep.
You go from 28 years to now you're showing up to the rink at 4:30 and in 5 or 6 hours you could be lifting the cup.
Mm-hmm.
How do you not think about that?
No, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
That's hard. But you can't because now you start to get away from what's gotten you to that point in the series, which is playing the Florida Panthers style hockey.
Right. It's just like I said, it's interesting to me to think about how it still took 3 games for for an extremely elite group of athletes to get it together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Why couldn't they have done that after they lost game 4?
Well, it could have been a similar thing where now they're all going to go out and try harder, which we actually thought was part of game 4.
Yeah.
So they could have been like, okay, we lost. We're still okay, boys. We're up 3-1. We can win the cup tonight.
Yeah.
And, maybe, again, they're too wired. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago. We were speculating how they might have been too wired up because they were thinking about they could win the cup. And then Okposo confirmed it for us in the post-game interview, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yep. And it very well might have just been a thing where it's like you said, it's like, okay, boys, we got to win. We'll win this one, and then they lose it. And it's like, okay, we're going to win game 5, and then they lose it. It's like, okay, we're going to win game 6, then they lose it. Then it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now we need to take a step back.
It's just one game.
It's just one game.
Yeah.
Let's reset.
Yep.
We've been dominant all season long.
And a lot of the series.
A lot of the series.
Yeah.
We were in the Stanley Cup final last year. Let's just take a deep breath and let's just go play this game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the mentality throughout that entire game, which is the right mentality, was shift by shift, 5-minute segments,
Yeah.
period by period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas my educated assumption
Yeah.
is that might not have been, I shouldn't say that. It very well could have been what was said in the dressing room for game 4, 5, and 6. But maybe it was said, but it wasn't in the individual's brain fully
it's one
fully
thing to say it.
enforced.
It's a hard thing for it to just you to absorb it. And it's just part of you.
And yeah, exactly. You can't. That's not something that you can really fake.
No.
But mind you, if I'm like Sam Bennett, who I know who's an NHL veteran, he was in the Stanley Cup final last year and all that. But if I have a guy like Kyle Okposo saying all these right things in the dressing room, there's a good chance it flips my brain from the state of mind that it might have been in to the right one.
Yeah.
But you don't know. No one will know. The
Right.
Florida Panthers will know what was said in that room. We won't.
Yeah.
That's just my educated assumption.
Yeah.
Being in a lot of dressing rooms, and
Something had to be said about it. And, that might have been why they brought a guy like Kyle Okposo in, because he knows his role. He's old enough. He's been around. He can say, hey, boys, we just got to relax and just play our game.
yeah,
Stop thinking about the cup, you
Right.
know? So, and obviously that paid off for him because I think they got him at the deadline.
did they really?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I would say he was brought in for exactly that reason.
Yeah, good locker room guy, which
Like-
is important, which leads us to our next point, and we'll wrap this up.
Okay.
This won't take very long. But a lot of what I hear from the Panthers in their post-game interviews was just how they all, and this is what makes them, I think, the best team in the world, is the amount of just how much they played for the guy next to them that they all talked about. Like Kyle Okposo said when he got to that room, he was immediately felt welcome, felt like he was at home. Again, if a guy like Kyle Okposo comes into my room and he's been around the league for that long, I'll do whatever he wants.
Right. You already trust the guy because he's been around for.
If he says I need you to tie my skates before practice, I'm doing it
100%.
Unless I have as many games as he does.
Right. Whatever you need, Mr. Okposo.
But the point is that and this is important from a goalie perspective too, because as a goalie, whether or not you're on the ice all the time, you're at some point a leader, and you want to help cultivate for your team this culture of everybody playing for each other and everybody being so tight together that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win together. And I think that's what Florida had. I think that's what they have, the skill, but just the way that they all play. Like, Bob was out of the net in Game 7. Bouchard takes a slap shot and like 3 guys dive in front of it.
Yeah.
Their face. Lusterinen took it off the ribs. Yeah. That had to hurt. I remember watching the game in the third period. You were spearfishing. I was watching the game and I said that one hurt.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to be if you were watching the game, which you said you were and I wasn't. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that these guys were willing to do whatever it takes for each other to win that cup.
Yeah. They had a penalty kill where I think Forsling lost his stick. Kevin Stenlund gave his stick to them, and now in the NHL, if one of your guys loses a stick on a penalty kill and you have 3 guys with a stick, it's a guaranteed goal.
Yeah.
But Florida just ate pucks, just blocked,
Sick.
let Bob see it, just surviving.
Right.
And that's all culture to me.
Yep. And from that moment, the entire team is watching this.
Yeah.
And it's self-motivation in itself, watching your brothers sacrifice their bodies, because now okay, that guy is doing whatever it takes to help us, me, him, whoever, win that Stanley Cup, right?
Now I have to do the same thing.
I'm going to go do the same thing.
So even
I want to go do
everybody
the same
better. I want to, yeah. It makes everybody better.
Yeah.
Just building that culture, caring about really playing for the players next to you. Because, like we said earlier, a lot of nights, again, hockey season's long. You have to play a lot of games. Goalies, you have to play a lot of minutes. Frankly, there's games you don't feel like playing.
Yep.
But because you care about the guys next to you, once you get there and just get ready to go, you're going to play your hardest.
Yep.
And so you have to cultivate that as a goalie. And on a team, you have to be part of that culture of players that play for each other, players that care about each other. As a goalie, in that locker room, to the best of your ability, you have to try to help cultivate that.
Yeah. It's unique being a goalie because there's certain things you can't necessarily do to contribute to that call. Like you're not losing your stick and blocking a shot.
You're not
with your
blocking
face.
shots with nothing protecting your face. You're not taking a hit knowing you're going to get smoked, but you got to make this pass. You're not in a foot race going directly at the boards knowing you're about to get smoked.
Right. You're not getting the puck out on the half wall, chipping in.
You're not skating up and down the ice and you're tired.
Right. It's a completely different game that you're playing.
But exactly. But I think what you can do to help cultivate that is set an example with your own work ethic every day.
Right.
Because at least everybody can relate to hard work.
Right.
Like you hear the Panthers talking about Bob. They're like, yeah, this guy just works so hard. He's the most prepared. Like, this is all their post-game interviews.
Like, this guy's a psychopath.
So they're ready to play for Bob because they know that he's working as hard as he can every day to play for them, and they're going to do the same to play for him.
Right. Bob doesn't show up for practice, apparently. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a guy that doesn't put the work in and is not as grizzled as Bob, you don't show up for practice, you're not playing in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
No.
But Bob put in so much work and had so much trust from his teammates.
Yeah.
That him not showing up to practice, I guarantee you, maybe everyone was like,
"Yeah,
is Bob okay?" But nobody was like, "Where's Bob?"
Yeah, at this time,
yeah,
I'm not playing for that guy. No, they understand.
They were like,
because of the example he set all season.
Yeah,
and for some of them, multiple years now.
Yeah,
they want to play for him. They want to be the best for him. He wants to be the best for them. They trust him.
Yeah, and
so you can see as a goalie, Bob, how his work ethic brought all the players together because they're all like, Bob's the best. He just works as hard as he can, wants to get better every day. And you can see how that helps a team as a goaltender.
Right. And you can't fake that trust that you get from your teammates. That is earned.
No. Yeah.
Like Kyle Okposo earned respect and trust from his teammates because he was in the league grinding as well known as a good guy and a hard worker.
As a Buffalo Sabre.
For 15 plus years, man. I don't remember this guy not being in the NHL.
No.
You know?
Especially as a Buffalo Sabre.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been easy.
Are you kidding me? What are we talking about, man? So, yeah, the respect the guys who have been in Florida for like 5+ years.
Yeah.
Getting Kyle in town, they're like, man, we just feel bad for this guy.
We gotta get him a cup, man. He's never been close. This is the first time in playoffs.
He's been grinding in Buffalo for 15 years.
Yeah.
Jesus. So yeah, every trust and your teammates' respect is something that is earned with time.
Yep.
It's earned with concrete evidence of you working your bag off during practice, games, your mentality around everybody.
Yeah. Just
care yourself.
Wanting to get better every day, caring about your teammates.
This right here is exactly why doing that every day matters.
Yeah.
And whenever someone tries to argue on that, call them out.
Yeah.
Because the moments, and we've discussed this, the moments or the workouts or whatever it may be on a freezing cold January weekday, on a Wednesday, and you show up for workout, that matters.
Yeah, the
Your
dog.
teammates
We call
see
it the
that.
dog days.
The dog days.
That's where guys come in and they're like kind of put their hands up as they're like sliding their shoes off. They're like leaning against the wall, sliding their shoes off. Right. And you could not show me the date, but I'd be like, oh, it's probably like January 15th to February 15th, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. All from a picture. If you just saw a picture of it.
You've played like 4 3-3s in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, you're exhausted. Yeah. But that is where team culture is developed.
Yeah. And we're not saying you develop it by being vocal. No. You develop it by, as a goalie particularly, by leading by example.
100%. Because you can be vocal and you can be full of shit. And the thing is, there's nothing worse than a vocal teammate who everybody knows is full of shit.
Right. You're right.
Right?
Nobody listens to him.
No, it's like, buddy, shut up.
Right.
You weren't at the workout.
But you can't argue with hard work.
No, there's no argument for that.
No.
And me personally, and I know you too, and I think basically everybody who's a pro athlete, I want to work hard for the guy who's working just as hard as me or harder.
100%.
Because I care about that guy because I know he cares about my team.
100%.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
This is a very passionate topic for us.
That's it is. But
it's good.
It's important. Well, I mean, I hope everybody got some value from our everything we went into today.
I think that there's a lot to unpack in everything we just discussed, but it's all good stuff. I hope people gain something from it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of it is, as Stewie stated before we got started, is team based, but if you made it an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast, I think you'll see how important it is from a goalie standpoint.
Yeah.
In regards to team culture.
100%.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Even from a goalie standpoint, you can help with team culture, and hopefully this illustrated why it matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all. I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, everybody. I'm sure you're much at this point.
I'm sure they are.
No, you are.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm actually not bad. My blood's flowing right now after just getting.
Yeah, right. You got fired up. As always, if you have any comments, just leave them down there, please. We do read them. We do look at them. We're still getting to some of them, like protein intake, but we felt like we had to do this. It's due diligence.
Yep. The Stanley Cup Finals where there was a lot to unpack. So.
Yeah. And Shark Week, it's due diligence.
Yes. Yeah. Tune in next week for Shark Talk.
Right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.